you cut me too deep. I think I'm dying here, man.
Welcome to the 3B Video Deep Cut Podcast.
Watch a few movies, take a few notes. It was fun.
It's that time again with your not-so-friendly neighborhood video store clerks, Rotten Roger DeMarco, and
your favorite high-tech low-life evil.
And
Remix one up.
The head of Wada Wada Huda Hada Ha?
Not on this podcast, I'm not.
Oh, you're not. Here we go. Another week and another fantastic movie that we all three agree on and we all three really, really like. 1994's Brainscan.
Never heard of it. What's the premise?
For those of you that don't know about this film, I'll let Evil give you guys a brief plot synopsis of the film, and then we're going to dive right into the cyberspace nitty-gritty of this bad boy.
Alrighty. Brainscan is a film in which a horror fanatic plays a futuristic video game in the past that is beyond technology we even have in this day today. It makes VR look like a bitch. But what happens when that VR bitch turns into its, I may have committed actual murder.
Murder. That's a pretty fucking spot-on synopsis. I feel like there are more eyes on this movie now that Scream Factory picked it up, but let's rewind a couple of years, shall we? Pre this Scream Factory release.
I think it's, I want to say it is almost 1 year to the day that this got released and we picked it up.
Wow. What are the odds on the timing of that? And that was just total, what do you call that? Synchronicity. Because we didn't do that on purpose
Dumb
by
luck.
any means. Yeah. I love when that works out in our favor. But if you rewind a couple of years, and Evil and I, we've known each other since 2013. And one of the things that we immediately bonded over, I think it was a very early discussion you and I had, where we brought this film up. And it was one of those things where it almost felt like a fever dream for me that I didn't think anybody else knew it existed. And I think it was similar for you. And so we just immediately were like, we just became brothers over this movie.
I had made long since peace that no one had seen or heard or cared or gave any shits about this film when I saw it. I could fill most of my film library up with this is the stuff everyone knows and likes. Here's the rest of the stuff that nobody knows and likes that I still have.
Mm-hmm. And it's just one of those weird things that we both connected on. And when we brought Remix into the fold, I think this was one of the very first movies that I was like, dude, if you think I'm completely full of shit, if you think that 99% of the movies that I recommend are fucking trash, the one thing you got to trust me on is Brainscan. And so I let you borrow it, I think, or maybe you watched it here with me. I'm not sure.
You let me borrow it along with Return of the Living Dead.
And did you order both of them immediately after?
Of course.
Yes.
Because they're both fucking worth it.
So this movie made a lasting impression on you. Being the tech man, I would assume that there's a lot of things in this movie that probably bother you, or maybe just fucking give you a tech man chubby.
I want to be possessed by a random ass CD that I find in the mail someday. That's the universe I'm hoping to live in.
That's the end all be all.
You hear that, Columbia House?
Compact disc
for you.
based paralysis.
Holy fuck, Columbia House reference. Deep cut.
Yeah. Dropping that 99 cents for 10 CDs.
I'm still waiting on my Chumbawamba.
I think it got knocked off the shelf. It's never coming up again.
It gets
I
knocked
don't
down.
think you could ever keep it down.
That's right. You beat me to it, you motherfucker. So this is a movie that I feel like all three of us have kind of bonded over. This is a movie that we hold near and dear to our hearts. And when we started this channel, which we talked about in the introduction episode, we talked about how there's so many deep cuts from this film that we use in our channel that are that have kind of seeped their way even into the cartoon that it has yet to be released. What do you think it is, Evil? What do you think it is about this movie that draws us in so much?
You know, I don't know to a degree. Like, it has some of the standard like things you could go with, like, oh well, it's about a horror fan that's isolated, alone, and is finding a way to express himself, branch out a bit. But I think it also just has a weird nostalgic charm to it, because it's something that we saw that nobody else saw, because it was very quietly kind of put out to video stores. And if you weren't out at a video store and happened to come across this damn thing and took a chance on the cover art, you wouldn't have known fuck all about it till Shout Factory came out with the thing.
Right.
So it was something that was good, and you knew was good, but nobody else knew about it yet.
Are you sure it's not that you feel like you can sympathize with Eddie Furlong's character? He has one friend out of the entire school, and is his buddy that loves fucking horror movies.
Well, there's that for sure. That's a very big proponent for me, anyway. But I know what you're saying, because I'm going to let you go here in a second, Remix. But I want to say, like you said, with the cover art drawing you in, this was a movie that I didn't catch at a video store. This was a movie that I think I accidentally recorded on Stars, and was, kind of scrumming through the tape. Like, the first movie was what I meant to get, and then let's see what else I got, and I got Brainscan, and it was one of those things where it was like hidden deep within this 6-hour tape, and anyone I ever brought it up to didn't know about it. And like you said, there is this kind of connection with, like, when you have something like that, you kind of feel special. You feel like nobody else in the world knows this. Like, this belongs to me. But
I knew it was gonna be something special when I was out with my dad. We were at the store. We rented it. We watched it, and then it didn't happen often. It happened with a handful of movies. But when we rented something that I kind of was like, yeah, let's get that, and he's telling like anyone else that ever comes out to hang out or whatever, or like family, friends, whatever, come over and go, yeah, we watched that. That was a really good movie. When he's praising it to somebody else that I'm not included with in the conversation, that's when it's like, I definitely think I got something good here.
Right. You're like, I did good.
I did good.
Yeah.
I picked good, Dad. I picked good.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, Remix. So carry on, my wayward son.
I just feel like the character of Kyle and whatever Eddie Furlong's character is, Michael, I feel like that kind of relationship is super empathetic. Like, people can really get behind it, because it's two kids that, sure, they share a little bit in common with some of the people around them, but they feel like the man or the school district is trying to get them down, where it's like, you can't watch Death Part 2 in school.
Part 2?
Exactly. They kind of feel like they have only each other to fucking rely on. And I feel like that
was a club that was just waiting to be shut down. That's
this shit ain't regulation.
They couldn't have been surprised. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that, man. And I sidebar within that thought. No joke, no lie. This isn't fabricated. This is 100% a true life story of my high school years. Me and my best friend in high school started the HMFC, the Horror Movie Fan Club. However, it was just me and my best friend. Occasionally, we had a third buddy who would come over, and what we would do is, on Friday nights, we would either go to the grocery store or the gas station that rented movies. We would all agree on a movie, we would pick it, we would go back to my house with our Gardettos and our Mountain Dew or whatever snack we chose for the evening.
Nothing says hardcore horror fans like you got your bag of Gardettos.
Hey, man, we're like, 15 maybe, We thought we were rad. And so we would all three bust out individual notebooks, and we'd watch said movie, and we would all try and each of us would write trivia questions. And then at the end of the movie, we would quiz each other. It had no merit. Most of the time we ended up, all of us, coming up with at least one of the same trivia questions. But we thought we were legit. We were like, we are analyzing these movies. We are learning about these movies, from the perspective of a 15-year-old kid. But so I totally sympathize with that horror movie fan club. I actually still have a high school yearbook, which is cool to look back on, but it also kind of hurts my feelings. It was because I really am the character of Michael Brower. You open it up to the autograph section, and my one buddy was the only signature in this yearbook, and it says, to Roger, stay rad, HMFC for life. Nobody else signed my yearbook. Not a soul.
Get that shit tattooed on your calf.
Right. It's one of those things. It was like
back of the neck.
It's just always been who I am. So I totally vibe with his character, and I see a lot of that in us. I see a lot of us in the Michael and why am I blanking, and Kyle. That's really us. We're about all we have to rely on 99% of the time.
I think you should get that those initials tattooed across your stomach, straight up across your stomach.
HMFC
forever. Yeah, HMFC forever.
Yeah, I'll just carve it into my chest and then spit an ink pen on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should have allowed.
There you go.
What is it? Fucking. Should have allowed nature to take its course, Mr. Walker. But in the end, it will anyway. Slam me the fucking house. Fear reference. 2 of them. Deep cuts.
And my other side note is I like that we're recording this right now, but we are keeping the kayfabe, even though no one's watching us, but the kayfabe that I can't see Remix. Remix is still an off-camera entity. I still cannot see him, even when we're not video recording anything.
Remix, dial 555-FEAR.
Yes, master.
So that's another thing. Sidebar, how many of us in 1994, well, poor Remix was, floating around in his dad's balls in 1994.
Give it a year.
But, yeah.
He was a twinkle in his father's eye.
Yeah, you were percolating. But,
an itch in your daddy's pants.
How many of us just wanted that setup? One of those big speakers, wanted to be able to tell your phone to call your buddy. I
never had the desire to have the phone thing, but I did want the water bubbly thing that changed colors that he had in his room. I thought that was kind of rad.
It is super cool.
It's kind of funny to look at that TV and be like, wow, that TV is fucking old shit now. That is not a great TV now. It was cool then, but it's so goddamn small.
Mm-hmm.
I want everything in his fucking bedroom.
Yeah, he's got some cool stuff. Also, sidebar about...
I figured Remix would want the setup in Grandma's Ball. He would want that reclining chair that's got the 3 monitors over his head and just techno music playing the whole time.
He's not far off from that right now in his own home.
I've got 3 monitors curved all the way around my face on a giant fucking arm. And then I've got a 21-inch drawing tablet in the middle of
antique.
it. So I've got 4 monitors, and I've got a giant 40-something inch TV that sits off to the side, which I can also hook up if I wanted a 5th monitor.
I honestly am surprised you have not bought that IKEA furniture setup where it's the ultimate neckbeard nest thing, where it's it's the bed, but it's also got the bench on the side of it to put drinks and shit, and the TV set up at the end of it. The entire thing is meant for you to have everything around you, and you never have to get up.
I'll just live in a steel work shed with that and a sink.
Well, he does have a tent over his bed. It's the tech tent,
I suppose. Moon pod.
The moon pod? Is that what you call it?
I believe that's what it is.
Oh my god.
When you work night shift, you got to find any way to cut out the light.
Right. Anything you can do.
I don't. I can sleep any time. I've never had I don't give a fuck how bright it is. Just close my eyes. Everything's dark. Everything's dark when you close your eyes, Remix.
There's something deep in there.
Robots don't have eyelids.
I don't know what it is, but there's something deep in there. Okay, so
just treat him like a bird, and you throw a blanket over him immediately.
Right.
Thinks it's time to go to bed.
He's definitely rebooting.
Privacy pod.
Is that what it's called? A privacy pod?
Yeah, moon pod is one of those big ass bean bags.
I refer to my testicles as the privacy pod. So another sidebar about his bedroom, which this is just something that happens in cinema all the time. And I always question it. That's one of the things that we do here when we discuss films, is we kind of put a little bit of reality into these movies, just for our own amusement. Yeah, for our own amusement.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to pose this question to both of my esteemed co-hosts. At what point does photographing your underage nude neighbor stop being like adorable and start being a felony? I don't, because they both do it
When the love at the end is not
reciprocated.
right. If it's unrequited, then it kind of gets a bit creepy.
I would say the moment you're able to start growing a mustache is when it's like, okay, you need to reassess some things.
He's got like one more year of like it being cute, because it's definitely creepy. You know, it's just one of those things. Like with Revenge of the Nerds,
it's only creepy when you look at it as an adult. When we were of age, we're like, yeah,
right? But still,
I identify with that.
But I mean, yeah, that's why stuff like Revenge of the Nerds and all of this stuff, like it couldn't be made today because it's so offensive. It crosses so many lines, right? But
we're too woke now.
Right, yeah. Stay woke, son. But you know, it starts out with it's his obsession right off the bat. When we're introduced to him, that's what he's doing. He's spying on her. But somehow, some way, we empathize with him. And it's not until the end of the film, when you, spoiler alert for anyone who doesn't know about this film, that you find out that the girl was also doing the same thing. And
which that is alluded to in his dream of the hypnosis that he's under. So do you think that's why he continues to do it? Is because in his subconscious, he knows that she's doing it back to him, and it's like an unspoken thing between the two of them? Because otherwise, that makes no sense how it's like it's in his hypnosis that she's watching him, and then it ends up being that exact thing in real life.
Well, I want to address that ending altogether. Like, this is a movie that I love to the core, but every time I watch it, I get a little perturbed with that ending, because I feel like, you know, that's a straight Slaughter High thing. That's a straight up mulligan on the film. Like, you know, all that shit you just watched didn't really happen. So it's like, do you think all of that stuff happened, but that was the final level? Like, the final level was for him to tell off the Trickster? Like, to have a battle with the final boss?
I don't know, because there's the three things that all make you go, well, that doesn't really follow logic to make sense. If that was all hypnosis, the fact that she is looking at him and photographing him, the fact that the dog shows up with the severed foot, and that he sees Trickster at the end with the principal. So it's either he's still all doing it, it's still all real, or he straight up had a total recall and he's going to be lobotomized from watching this shit. His dad's going to come home from a business trip. He's going to be sitting there just drooling in his own shit and piss in that reclining chair.
With a fucking cup of 2-week-old sour milk in his hand.
Oof.
Gross.
Yeah, chugging milk is never going to look attractive no matter who does it.
Yeah, no.
I want to
Milk
see
was a bad
grown-up
choice.
Edward Furlong chugging a glass of milk.
With his hunchback.
And his scraggly
You know,
beard.
if he gets on Cameo, that's the request I'd want to put in. Like, can you just violently drink a glass of milk?
Like you're having a fucking seizure. Okay, so
Tell me to enjoy these fucking relaxation techniques.
So here's another question that I pose to the pair of you. Why do you think this is? He gets the disc. He plays the first level, which is the murder by design, right? He murders the guy in the town. He remembers it. He remembers it all vividly, to the point that he can tell Kyle about it. He knows all the details. He was there because he did commit the act. When it's time to play the second disc, he films himself, and then he just wakes up in the chair and has zero recollection of what he did until he finds Kyle's necklace in the freezer. Why is that? Do you think that's just was the choice of the like last minute type of deal, like a choice of the director? Let's not show him murder Kyle.
Or it
Oh,
could
I
just
would
be
say
him
it's
trying not to remember it.
Yeah, him trying to force it out. Or, yeah, I would initially say it's, that's cut for runtime and to make him sympathetic. Because if you're watching him murder his friend next, it's tougher to keep sympathy on his side when he keeps killing people.
Right. But that's one of those things, man, because I feel like they do that at the end. He plays the third disc, and he has to struggle with he doesn't want to kill Kimberly. And then he fights the Trickster, right? So wouldn't it have been just as effective, or is it because she's the love interest? Like, wouldn't it have been just as effective to show him going to Kyle's and Kyle trying to reason with him and him, kind of showing that possessed state and him killing Kyle?
Like Idle Hands.
Yeah, dude, Idle Hands is another... that movie gets a bum rap, too. It's rad as fuck.
Also just got a Shout Factory release, but has that exact scene of like, I don't want to kill you, so don't!
Right. Sorry. Look at me, I'm Leatherface!
That's the whole scene you'd want to see is him getting ready trying to kill Kyle, and Kyle's like, don't kill me, man!
Right?
Like, I just don't do it! Like, I can't. It's the rules.
Right? Like, I don't know, man. I'm curious as to, like, how different the movie would be with that scene. But I kind of agree with you saying, like, he needs to stay sympathetic.
Even he doesn't know what he did last summer. No, I think that they just kind of skip over it, and he's so in disbelief that he has to, like, reassure himself that it did happen, even if it was something bad. I think they just skip over it, and he's like, that did not really, truly happen.
Gotcha.
I'll pose the question back to you. That's a weird side bit from that is, let's say you two have been given the game to play. You got to kill us. Like, Roger's got to kill me and Remix. Remix has got to kill me and Raj. What's your trophies?
If I'm killing you, I'm taking your glasses. That's like your trademark. Shit, I don't know about Remix because no one knows what he looks like, so I can't say. I'd probably take his glasses. I'd take his bomb-ass sunglasses that have speakers built into them.
My They Live glasses?
Yes.
I do really want those, and man, I really wish I had better eyesight. I could actually utilize those. Those would be handy as fuck for me.
I'm taking all your copies of Batman 89, and I'm taking all your copies of Pump Up the Volume. Those are my trophies.
Fine. I'll just find more. Super sidebar. The guy that directed this movie, his name is John Flynn, and I looked up some of the stuff that he did. Dude, blew my mind. He directed Lock Up with Sly Stallone, and he directed Out for Justice with Steven Seagal. So, primarily an action guy.
Yeah, I lump Out for Justice right up same with the other two, like Above the Law and Hard to Kill. Like, all three of those are very interchangeable three-word title films.
Right. Hard to Kill is the one that I like, and I always forget that I like it. That's the one where he gets put in the coma, right?
I hope you're not asking me, because I cannot distinguish any of them fucking movies.
I put it in the form of a question, right? But it doesn't matter.
As far as I know, it's its own trilogy, and it's just a continuing story, and they're interchangeable. Which one's first, second, or third?
Oh man!
Congratulations to Steven Seagal for being the only guy that could do that. Like, I can distinguish anybody else's set of movies, but it's super strange that he always wears the same shit, looks the exact same all the time, and has three movies all back to back to back that are three-word titles like that.
Nah, Young Eddie Furlong. This is the sequel to Terminator 2, right?
Right. So I have another question about the actual Brainscan game. Okay, so early on when we learn about the Brainscan game, which is probably within the first 2-3 minutes of the movie when Kyle's pitching it to him, Kyle is telling him there's all these different things that happen in the game, And so when
hypnotic.
So when Edward Furlong calls the number, and then the Trickster, or not the Trickster. Trickster tells him, it's already been decided, you will play Death by Design. That's the title that he gets given. So if Death by Design is you breaking into a sleeping person's house and murdering them, what other, like, because he says that the game bends to, like, your personality. So sorry, go ahead.
That whole scene is what lends to him being like, oh, he's definitely had a seizure, because he has some kind of epileptic seizure while he's on the phone with the Brainscan people. He's not got anything yet, nor did he give them address information. They just sent it to his house because they know who the hell he is somehow. So I think this is all, he just mentally broke on this fucking phone call, upset that there's a party going on next door that he couldn't go to, and just fucking snapped.
They played some Lords of Salem over the fucking phone and killed him.
Yeah, insert Lords of Salem music.
And then just still shot of Eddie Furlong slowly being zoomed in on in the chair, just dead. That's how it ends.
But so that is my question. If this was a legitimate game and he received Death by Design, what other types of fucking murder could there, like, you know what I mean? Like
Sandbox.
Well, because Kyle says there's like death, chainsaw dismemberment, something. But I mean, if it's Death by Design, it's just up to you. You know, he chose a knife. He could have chosen any weapon. So
depends where you get dropped. I guess you could get dropped on an island. You got to forge a weapon out of like a fucking coconut or something. Or you dropped into a farmhouse. You know, you grab the pitchfork or the machete, something like that. You know, just where the environment you happen to go to or are in depends where you could end up on a fucking boat and you just end up just drowning somebody.
All of those would be super boring compared to just breaking.
You just straight up Natalie Wood somebody and just knock her over the fucking edge of the boat, and there you go. There's the scenario you're stuck with. There you go.
I beat my high score.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had something. I was gonna say, do you guys think that? Well, for you didn't see it when you were younger. Obviously, you've seen it recently,
right?
But Evil, do you think that one of the reasons that we ended up liking this movie so much was because we're big T2 fans, and at that point, you know what I mean? Like, Furlong was so sympathetic, and you just love him in T2. So seeing him in something else and seeing him in a horror movie, he's not much older, you know?
No, this is right off the success of that movie. His next go is this. I don't think it hurts, but I totally, for at least us at a young age, want to put all the eggs in the basket of we just really fucking thought Trickster was cool.
He is super cool.
Super fucking punk, dude.
Yeah. Now, here's the other thing. Trickster is the villain, obviously, but do you guys kind of feel like he has, like, Michael's best interest at heart, or is he literally just tricking him constantly?
He's a bad dude.
He's the puppet master.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I when I rewatched it earlier today, I kind of got a little bit of a sympathetic vibe from him, but also it seems like every time Michael is given a choice and he is leaning towards doing what's right, Trickster kind of swoops in and is like, "Yeah, but," you know what I mean? And
you pissed him off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a straight up puppet master scenario until you get all the way to the end. Then after he realizes that Trickster realizes what the whole setup is, and that's when you absolutely, like, if you had any doubts, you fall in love with Trickster at the end when he's just slow clapping at him handing the game off to the principal. It's like, oh yeah, you know how this goes now. Now we're cool because you know how things are going to roll. So let me get back into character now to start this terror all over again.
Right. Is that kind of like a Freddy Krueger thing? Like, you've given me another soul type of deal?
Possibly. I always just took it as like, yeah, the game we played was fun. Now you're going to unleash me on somebody that's going to be a lot more fun.
Yeah, I felt like it was an It Follows situation.
Right. So do you think, because Michael lives and everything seems to work out for him, you know, this is one of those
Everybody
movies that,
lives.
yeah, this takes back everything. So the body count disappears, but do you think it would be the same for the principal, or do you think...
I would love to inherit $1 billion so I could go back and write the sequel that is entirely the principal's movie version of the game.
I want a sequel
I want
made
to see that
today,
Yes.
where we get an all CG Eddie Furlong as a child.
getting killed by an all CGI Arnold Schwarzenegger.
We've seen that. Look great.
It did look good. Really good. Probably the best part in that whole movie. But
No, I like that part that you mentioned. Him sitting in a big T-800 sitting in a fucking lawn chair.
aluminum
that's
chair.
holding up.
False. So that's where I was going to go next, and you brought it up. Both of you brought it up of seeing this, because it was originally intended to lead off into a franchise. That's what they had planned. It was like it could have worked, and then for whatever reason they didn't do another one. Because I think it was that sleeper hit that only people like me and Evil saw when we were younger, and not a lot of people saw. But do you think
I think it's that sleeper hit, but as much as I do want to see the sequel, it's only for like my own personal amusement. I really don't think logistically people would get behind this to be a franchise, because after the first movie, you're like, well, nothing is going to be real, so there's going to be no consequences at the end of every movie.
Unless someone fails.
That's true. If they fail, game over, man. Game over.
Learn some new rules. Learn things that weren't even hinted at in the first.
So here's the question.
DLCs.
Being the fact that that's brilliant. See, here you go.
DLC didn't even exist back then.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Since
Well, you wanted to make the sequel today.
right, since
No.
it's 2020, if we got a reboot, reimagining, do you
it's
think
just going
that
to be a
could
VR
work?
game. It's just going to be fucking head-mounted display, gets stuck to your face, you pass out, you wake up, and you're like, oh, I guess it was all just a dream, and then you look at the window, and Trickster's standing there fucking your best friend.
Well, but I mean, movies like Ready Player One
Whoa.
work. It works. It's good. And with that kind of, I mean, granted, a Brainscan reboot wouldn't have the budget of a Ready Player One, nor would it have the Amblin label, but I would be down to see a remake.
It would be like Upgrade. That's the only tech possession movie that I know of.
Yeah. I would fear for it, because practical effects are 50-50 on how well they age. Mm-hmm. Hardly any CG ages well.
That is absolutely true. And speaking of the practical effects in this movie, the underrated, super wicked talented Steve Johnson did the effects in this movie. And that Trickster design is top notch. He's the icon that never got to be an icon, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I would love if he ever came through town for anything to meet him, tell him how much we love this movie, and get his signature on at least the Blu-ray, an 8x10, and probably inked on my arm so I could tattoo it in.
Yes. If I may, NECA, if you're listening, we want a Trickster figure.
Oh my god.
Give it right now.
It has to come with that severed foot.
And a fucking, like a whole frozen turkey and a thing of
that whole
mustard.
tray. Yeah, mustard and tater tots.
Mm-hmm. With an alternate hand with the fingers all broken. I love this movie to the core. I think that it's funny when it wants to be funny. And that's all because of the Trickster, too. Like, he has such a Freddy Krueger-esque quality, you know? Because he has a personality.
And it's just that little scene, too, where he leaves Trickster upstairs and he just turns on the Three Stooges and just, does that, get comfortable in the chair thing, sit and watch it. It's just little shit like that endears you to him. But what do you think about the big name, other than Eddie Furlong, that's in this movie? How do you feel about Frank Langella, Skeletor himself?
Remix, do you have anything you want to say about the police officer in this film?
I don't know anything significant about the police officer in this film.
You don't know? Mr. Frank Langella, let me tell you. Hey, that rhymed.
Detective Hayden?
Yeah.
Murderer.
Here's the thing about him. He's amazing, but I feel like he's like unjustly suspicious of Edward Furlong extremely early in the movie. Like, hey, you're riding by? He probably caused this accident. Like, hey, you're riding by? He probably killed this guy. Like, how many people live in that town?
But hold up. Is he wrong?
Well, no.
Well, then that just makes him a very good detective.
I'm a very good policeman,
Yeah.
Monster
It doesn't make him a hard ass. That makes him good at his fucking job.
Monster Squad reference. Deep cut. But that's true. It really does. Every time I watch it, I'm like, man, he is all over Edward Furlong. Like, give the kid a minute. Which I know he's guilty as fuck, but...
Yeah, I think the one time he stretched a bit far was sneaking into the house to steal some of the ash from the fireplace. Like, well, I don't think legally he could use that in any case, but I mean,
that's circumstantial
he's not
at
wrong
best.
in his assumptions. Yeah,
yeah,
he's gonna have some trouble finding hard evidence because the only visual witness that he had, or anyone that they did have, ended up either getting killed or having a shit ton of bricks fall on him or shot by militia guys.
That's true.
The neighborhood is covered in blood.
Absolutely. I was gonna say one of the things, because we were talking about our like our introductions to this film and what makes us like this film so much. I did kind of want to bring up that I did see a lot of myself in the character of Edward Furlong, because just like him in the movie, like my dad was not really in the picture when I was growing up, and my mom worked a lot of ridiculous hours. So it was a lot of like me by myself, and movies kind of became the extra voice in the house, which is why you and I both do it all the time. It's just background cinema. If you're home doing whatever, you always have something on the TV. It makes me feel like the house is lived in. It makes me feel like there's activity elsewhere while I'm, was doing my homework or doing the laundry or whatever. So like, I really kind of identify with that. And like, you kind of turn these movies into your friends. So I totally get like using that stuff as an escape. Your movies, your music, your video games. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, it's all that. And another aspect about this that makes it fit our criteria of a popcorn as fuck anytime favorite movie is it's got a good soundtrack and a very memorable score. Like, I know you can hear it in your head as I'm saying it right now, but you can hear that opening theme in your head, like just thinking of the movie. It's just it's simple, but it's a very, very hard-hitting, excellent score, as in you don't forget it when you hear it. It washes over you entirely.
It's super somber too. Like,
yeah.
It's not a like a upbeat score, which is completely the opposite of the soundtrack, because the soundtrack is like fast and hard.
Primus.
Yes.
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 And that other song, I can't think of the title of that's on the end credits. The other one I had you put on a CD we had to have on disc was the end credits song that's played. And the same one that's played when he comes upstairs and Trickster's eating all the shit in his refrigerator.
The Dig 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 song?
Yeah.
That's all I needed to know.
I always forget what it's titled, even though I've looked it up multiple times. But yeah, it's a very upbeat rock punk soundtrack, but the score is just as good, and they go together very well. And that's always the hidden component to a good movie for us is a good, fun, memorable score and soundtrack.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
Which you acquired recently too.
That's true.
You just recently found that on CD, didn't you?
Yeah, super lucky out in the wild for like $1 or $2. I can't remember. And then the guy who worked there was like, "That's only been here since 2002." I'm like, "You have a very good memory." I'm very impressed.
That is something I would have probably hit you in the nuts to beat you to the counter to get that damn thing. Like it might have been straight up impulsive. Like I wouldn't ever want to ever just straight up like cheap shot you like that. But to see that and know someone else is interested in it may just be instinctual and beat you to the counter to grab it.
Well, I'll do my best to find you another copy because that place where I found it, I'm like 99% sure that there's another one in that pile of things.
I don't know how the fuck. You better buy a goddamn lottery ticket the exact same day, because I don't know how the fuck you find any store that has 2 copies of the Brainscan soundtrack.
In 2020, no less.
Any fucking year. You could have went to the year of release, and I wouldn't have believed it.
It's been almost 30 years since this movie came out.
That's crazy. And speaking of 30 years, and since this came out in 1994, I know we touched on the tech briefly, but you wouldn't happen to know what a widescreen TV went for in that. Like, that's not something you see often. Like Evil brought it up. Evil said, when we were younger, that TV was boss. And you look at it now, it's got these big speakers on the side, but it's in a letterbox format, which is rad because that's how all of our TVs are now. But
that's all tech that's like I would assume that's all tech that's given to him from his dad, who just acquires this shit while he's on the road.
Right, yeah, because his dad obviously makes a ton of money. But my thing is, Evil, you and I are the same age. In 1994, to the best of your memory, did you ever see a TV that looked like that in any store? I have never. Like, I understand that there probably were, because, in 1994, Laserdisc was a thing. So I would imagine that a widescreen TV started to be a thing so people could watch their Laserdiscs on a widescreen tube TV, which sounds fucking super weird.
I mean, it's literally you're coming off maybe a year at most of like the highest end tech that we encountered at my house was having the picture-in-picture option. Like, that was holy shit.
Right, 2 channels at once.
While something else is on in a much smaller screen. Like, that's the extent of the tech that I was aware of. And that was on a big, like, Yokozuna-sized television set. Like, a big screen that required no less than 4 people to move it anywhere.
Right, yeah, like a rear projection 55-inch TV. Yeah, big old
4
bastard.
feet thick.
Yeah, them motherfuckers. And then if you thumped it too hard, you knocked the red, blue, or green lights inside wonky, and then the picture just looked like shit. Yeah, because that's what I was going to say, man. When I was growing up, and I never even had picture-in-picture on my TVs. I can remember the split between my buddies because we had Raw fans and we had Nitro fans that hung out with me on Monday nights. So I had 2 TVs in my room. And so we would be like, boom, boom. And one was like a piece of shit, little, broken, half working TV. And we would throw the WCW on there. And then the other TV would have WWF on. And like, I thought I was the shit. Because I was like, man, I got 2, like, whatever, 17-inch piece of crap TVs.
You're the epitome of a wrestling mark in the late 90s. Is the ultimate dream is to have both shows on at the same time.
Oh, dude, that was my life for like 2 years, every single Monday. But I was always fascinated with the tech in this movie. And I know that I've told this story before, but I can remember for my birthday getting a PlayStation, the PlayStation 1. And I know that I've told you this story because we bought a whole bunch of stuff at this local Kmart, and I got my PlayStation and my copy of Resident Evil. And this particular Kmart, they had people who would like bring out your cart and load your stuff in your car for you. And this young guy who was putting all our stuff in the car was like, PlayStation, huh? I'm like, yeah, it's my birthday, pretty cool. And he's like, video games on disc, it's pretty wild. And he's like, within a year, you'll be able to have movies on discs. And I remember being a kid and being like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. There will never be movies on discs. That can never work. They would get all scratched. And now here we are.
Right.
Right.
Now
That's
your
the
movies don't
idea.
even come with discs.
Right. They just come with a fucking piece of paper with a 16-digit code. You could buy a piece of cardboard with a code on it.
TVs in 1997 ranged from $3,000 to $22,000.
A widescreen TV?
Flat 4x3 up to 16:9. So a regular fucking 4x3 format TV was upwards of $2,000 to $3,000, and a fucking widescreen TV was $22,000 to $15,000.
Wow.
That was 1997.
Yeah, that's
Fuck
wild.
that.
I know that.
We no bullshit with our entertainment.
Yeah, I know that when I was in high school, right before, well, I guess it would be quite a while before there was actual flat screen TVs. There were flat monitored TVs, but it wasn't like a thin flat screen like what we know today. And
Yeah, like just the screen was flat.
yeah, but they were still big old tube TV bastards.
Oh yeah, I won one
I got
from my job at one point, and yeah, flat screen, but yeah, it was still at least like 120 pounds.
Yeah, it's a beast. That's what I was going to say. I got a 36-inch Sony Trinitron for Christmas, and it had to have been 2002 or 2003, and I know that TV, a 36-inch TV, I know it was over $1,000, because I remember my mom, we went to Best Buy, and my mom was like, you are not getting anything else for your birthday, and probably not for Christmas. Like, this is a big deal, you know? It was one of those...
That's a classic. That's a classic line there. Like, this is going to count for your birthday and Christmas, motherfucker.
Right, a 6-month span. You ain't getting shit else.
My birthday and
Minimum,
Christmas
yeah.
they're the same.
Are they the
So
same?
yeah, I was always fucked out on
man.
both.
You got robbed. Lucky for Evil and I, our birthdays are in June, so we got like a 6-month buffer so people's wallets
Yep.
can fill back up.
I got like a 5-day buffer.
5-day Bruce buffer.
I blew out my voice the other day doing that fucking Bruce Buffer impression at work. It was stupid. Recorded a podcast like 4 hours later.
So what are we at on time, Remix? So we'll cut that out, but
50.
50? That's
10
good.
minutes.
Okay, so 50.
Ooh, I'm good.
Perfect. So now that we've kind of covered all of our bases with this movie, really quick with our final thoughts on Brainscan, I do want to go ahead and offer my rating, which is this movie is 100% popcorn as fuck. If you follow the channel, you know that that's how we tend to rate films. We don't give them a 1 through 5 anymore or anything like that. It just, if it falls in our wheelhouse, it's popcorn as fuck. And yeah, my final thoughts on it are, this is a movie that I feel like every horror geek needs to see. Every kind of tech geek needs to see. It's a very fun, forgotten movie that I couldn't be more happy that Scream Factory picked up Brainscan, so at least I can find a wider audience. I'm a little jaded. I mean, I'm happy about it, but I'm a little jaded because it used to just be our thing. Now it can be the world's thing, and we can all be buddies forever. But yeah, I love it. So, Evil, what are your final thoughts on Brainscan?
Fucking the exact same. There's a reason that the channel is pretty much, or the live streams were named after it. I have that tattooed on the side of my neck that is in your handwriting. So if that doesn't speak volumes, I don't know what the hell would.
Yeah, that's the deepest of deep cuts. What about you, Mr. Remix?
I feel like they didn't really explore the car accident situation a whole lot in that movie. I feel like it was a dead end situation. Whatever came of that.
It's just to let you know he's got a limp and his mommy is gone.
That's weird because they kind of open the movie with that and they go back to it like once or twice. But why does he need a limp?
So his footprint can be easily identified. It's a character trait, my friend.
Character development.
Yeah. So that's your final thoughts.
Yes.
You're mad about that?
Yes.
Okay. So now that we've got that out of the way, we're gonna take a look at what are we doing, Evil?
Well, we gushed about a movie for almost an hour, so I grabbed a small handful of some infamous 1-star reviews of people who didn't give two shits about this movie.
Hated it.
First up, we have Autumn 5 on December 28, 2013. 1 star. I'll do this in character because I feel it warrants it. Ah! This movie won't play for me. I wish I'd known it was original. I wanted to give it to my sister, Brainscan, for Christmas. Now I can't.
I want to give it to my sister, Brainscan, for Christmas.
If you want to give it to your sister, that's a whole different section on Pornhub.
Get Brain for Christmas.
Next up, we have Amazon customer, so we'll just name them Arnold.
All right.
Arnold says, 1 star on September 4th, 2003, by the way. 1 star. Brain dead in the head, but the technology is cool, so I'd give it 1.5 stars.
That's a remix review right there. Although you like this movie, you don't have. I mean, you're nitpicking the beginning of it. Yeah. You like this.
I like this movie. It's good. 1.5 stars.
Fuck you. Get out of my dojo.
All right. Next up, we have another Amazon customer, so we'll just name them Ted. On October 1st, 2000.
20 years ago, baby.
20 years ago. Ted says, garbage. Please. For me. Do not watch this film. I just wasted an hour and a half of my life that could have been spent cleaning my navel.
What the fuck?
Maybe, if you are under the age of 14, you might enjoy the triteness of this waste of celluloid. I am definitely dumber now after watching this.
Before you go into your next one, sidebar of a sidebar of a sidebar, I fucking despise the word trite. I hate it. So
what about detritus?
So I want to punch that dude in his nose.
Trope.
They were talking about
I
cleaning
like
their
that. I like
navel.
the-
I don't think it was a dude.
I can clean my navel out.
But do you?
I have cleaned Evil's
Not
navel.
as often as I should. That's just an awesome line, though. I just thought that was great. But I thought the navel line was good, but then I was like, the triteness of this waste of celluloid.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. That definitely, he finished writing that and went, yeah.
Slapped his
fucking
hands
good.
together, wiped them clean.
Yeah. I am clever. Get fucked.
And finally, from Bruce Donahoe on October 5th, 2016, 1 star. Always a classic. Always had to put these in. Don't know why this is here. I didn't buy it.
You know why it's there? Because the Trickster decided he was playing Death by Design.
Bitch.
Yeah. Pretty sure that was that was Michael that broke that review.
All right. So now that we're done with the Amazon 1-star reviews, we're going to close out our podcast with our other favorite segment. So what does that mean? Does that mean it's time to play the game?
It's time to play the game.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
It's all about the game, and how you play it. It's all about you take it. All you want to don't know me, they want to take it.
The prop game, ladies and gentlemen. Evil, give them a rundown at home of how to play the prop game along with us.
All right, real quick. The prop game is something we do to kill time around 3B video. We give out a name of a movie, and you pick out a prop that you think would be a cool item to take home as a piece of memorabilia, but try to make it not so obvious. So if I were to say Back to the Future, don't be a prick and say the DeLorean. Say something else.
Say something cool.
Like the life preserver that Michael J. Fox wears.
So today's movie is Brainscan.
What do you take from Brainscan?
I thought... Oh, remix. All right.
I'm taking that Primus CD.
Remix.
I'll never leave home without it.
Nice. My prop, I thought long and hard about this, to be honest with you, because I was like, there's so many things in this movie that I could bring home. But I settled on Kyle's necklace, because I feel like that's another thing that ties into Buddies Forever. It could hang in the back, in your back room. It could hang in the front of the store, and it would be that super rad deep cut that only a handful of people would see and go, fucking Brainscan.
And I will take Trickster's a maroon velvet jacket.
That crushed velvets.
Put that on a rotating torso case and just spin it.
But when you
push a button and you push the button and it rotates one time. You just dun 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 dun.
You beat me to it. I was going to say, you push the button, a light shines on it, and it plays fucking Primus. You motherfucker.
Yep.
That's excellent. So, everybody at home, that's how you play the prop game, and that was Brainscan. I suppose we'll see you motherfuckers in 2 weeks.
Roger, don't you have anything good?
Michael, don't you have anything good? Never leave home without it. From the top of the charts to a space in your heart,